Welcome back to the 99, where we are focused on bringing a better competitive commander. I'm your host, Patrick Marlett, and today we are going to be overviewing all of the recent spoilers from Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths. I intend to do this in two parts. This is going to be part one from the first 2 days, give it a handful more days to discuss the next set of spoilers, and of course, we're going to do a complete set overview here, a set review, shall we, of Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths once it lands and we see all the cards and get to digest them. But in this video, I do want to cover some of the new mechanics, of course, new effects that are going to be included in Ikoria and throughout Magic moving forward, we'll see, as well as the controversial banning of Lutri. Why does the Committee hate Otter so much? That's what's on the minds of everyone right now. It's going to be a late night video. I'm recording it April 3rd. So this is literally the end of the second day of spoilers. I'm going to try to get this out to you guys this evening. So if I look lethargic or tired, it might be something like that. But first and foremost, I do want to talk about our partner, TCG Player. Any of these cards, I believe they will be setting up pre-orders through their stores. But if you want to buy any of these cards from Ikoria, that is the place to go to for the best prices. If you want to pick up packs, singles from the set, go there first. And mind you, the paper release has been pushed to May as of filming this, so you're not going to be able to get your hands on any of these quite yet. It's weird that we're having these spoiled so far in advance, but that's just how it's working out. However, if you use the link in the description, you'll be helping out the channel because a portion of those proceeds will go to hook us up. And if you want to hook up the channel directly, you can do so via Patreon. If you feel so inclined, we have a great amount of people donating now, and I really appreciate you helping the efforts here. But first and foremost, I do want you guys to know that you should be taking care of yourselves. If you're in an industry affected by COVID-19, please focus on you first, your family, your neighbors, and then worry about me and the gang here. But to follow along, I'm over on Mythic Spoiler. There should be a link in the description for the Ikoria Lair of Behemoths spoiler releases to date. And I'm going to just go through these categorically as they've listed them here. However, to start us off, I did want to discuss Mutate, and I'm in white right now, so why don't we take a look at Huntmaster Liger. So Huntmaster Liger is a 3 generic 1 white creature cat, 3/4 body, and you can mutate it for 2 generic and 1 white. What is this? So it's a little bit like Bestow or Augment in how it enhances a creature much like an aura would. I say enhance, it's really not that good. Let me start by saying I don't think Mutate is going to find its way into competitive Commander. Maybe a more casual scene will play with it, we'll see. If you cast a spell for its Mutate cost, put it over or under target non-human creature you own. Imagine you just do it to someone else's creature. They mutate into the creature on top, plus all of the abilities from under. So Huntmaster Liger goes on top of my Reclamation Sage. Doesn't get any new abilities for doing that, but it was cheaper to cast, and whenever this creature mutates, and that is effectively if the spell resolved the mutate cast, and it goes on the Rec Sage, then it's mutated. Other creatures you control get +X until the end of turn, where X is the number of times this creature is mutated. So you can do it multiple times, mutate them a couple times, and get the X to get even bigger. What's important here is that if I were to, why would I do it to myself? If an opponent were to remove my Reclamation Sage, when I'm casting Huntmaster Liger for its mutate cost, I will still get Huntmaster Liger. He'll go on the battlefield as a 3/4 creature cat, just like any other Liger would. I got to cast it for less, it still resolves. There's a little bit of a safety valve here. However, it did not successfully mutate with the other creature. That's to my understanding. If the rules change, then if I'm misinterpreting this, you don't get the mutate for not mutating. So you will get a cheaper creature, you just won't get the mutate. Do I think you're going to see much of this effect? Not really. The next ability that I think you're not going to see much of in Commander is Companion. So what is Companionship? So if this card is your chosen companion, you may cast it once from outside the game. Do we have a sideboard? Should I start putting in wish cards? No. See, the rules committee says companion's okay. Again, Friday, April 3rd, 2020. Companion's okay, just not this companion. And why is that? And I'm going to preface this one by stating I do not predict that we are going to see another companion card from this set that is viable in Commander, casual or competitive. Lutri says, let me just go over the card first. It's on the screen. One generic, is it legendary creature, elemental otter, could have been your commander. 3/2 body. Its companion cost is that each non-land card in your starting deck has a different name if you want him to be your companion in your sideboard. Because he's not in the command zone. Is there a different zone for companions? Flash. When Lutri the Spellchaser enters the battlefield, if you cast it, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. So in no way is this... it's a lesser dual-caster mage. It's a lesser Narumea. This is not going to replace any of those because there's no loop here. There's no combo here in case you were curious. You have to have had to cast Lutri. You can't Ghostly Flicker Lutri the Spellchaser, have him re-enter the battlefield and get that effect because you know what? His ETB doesn't matter anymore because you didn't cast him. That sucks. It sucks to say it. So basically you just have a lesser dual caster mage and it only hits your spells. So what's the big concern about this guy? It's broadcasted to the board that you have this effect that duplicates your spells. So really in an is it list, it's just going to come in to counter your Force of Negation or whatever spell you're using to guard your combo. It's there. Again, it's broadcasted. I see it. It's not a huge issue. Lutri the Spellchaser was banned. I believe the quote was, it becomes a must-play card. A must-play card. That's interesting. It almost sounds a little bit like Thassa's Oracle, although she's not the issue. Flash is the issue. That's a separate conversation. That card should be banned. You know what should have been banned here? Not Lutri the Spellchaser. I think this is just okay. I don't see any real issue with this guy. I can tell that you have it in effect as soon as I see you have 3 dual lands on the field or whatever mana base you needed to make this work. I'll know when you can cast Lutri. I have telepathy on Lutri. I know every time you're going to cast it. It's not a huge deal for me to know that. I can bait it. I can play around it. Really not a big deal. What they should have banned, and I think Canadian Highlander has just abolished the use of any companion moving forward. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We don't have a sideboard here. Why is companion even an effect we're going to allow in Commander? I think they should ban companion. Then what? We have a subpar commander. We have an okay effect in the 99. I don't see this being a huge issue. Unless there's some combo I'm not seeing here. You want to recast this guy multiple times. Or maybe there's a copy effect that lets you cast Lutri and then you can do something with that. I don't see it being a huge issue on a sideboard in Commander, but I do see there being a huge issue with a sideboard in Commander because Commander is 99 card singleton with 1 commander in the command zone that you can cast at any time. This is starting to sound a little bit more like Oathbreaker, having a signature spell and a Planeswalker at the helm in that format to play with instead. Companion mucks up the identity of Commander, particularly this card because it's fundamentally built for Commander. You can tell that R&D probably thought about Commander when they were doing it. It's the year of Commander, right? Companion should have been banned, not Lutri the Spellchaser. I think the card is okay. Again, if you're a combo king more than I, let me know. Maybe I'm some idiot. I don't play blue, so I wouldn't really know. But I don't see this being some broken thing. It's just okay. That's the other effect that was introduced with Ikoria. I'm telling you, mark my words, if there's another playable companion, I will be very surprised. Hopefully that doesn't get shot down too. We'll see. But so long as they're playable, I mean, if it's a must play, why the hell not, right? So I want to go through white first. White is really the only color we're going to discuss today. There's nothing up to this point in the spoilers of value from blue, from black. I will mention one card in black because I think it's a joke. In red, not really. Green has a handful of cards we should talk about, and then there's a lot of legendaries in this set. We should probably go over at least 1 to 2 of them. Nothing really cEDH viable quite yet, though one of the legendaries isn't on Mythic Spoiler, and it's been spoiled already, so I'll have to find that for you guys. But let's start with white. I want to talk about Luminous Broodmoth. So this is a card that was announced, I believe, yesterday. It was on the first batch of announcements because there's a kaiju form of it. If you're not a Godzilla fan, this is not going to matter to you, but I believe there's a Mothra version of Luminous Broodmoth. I don't really understand the partnership. I didn't watch any of the release or promo videos. Maybe you guys can break it down for me why I'm seeing Godzilla in my Magic sets, but he's there. Huge. I mean, I like Pacific Rim. Does that count? Am I a fan of kaiju monsters? At any rate, Luminous Broodmoth, 2 generic, double white for a creature insect, 3/4. The only reason I'm bringing this guy up is because I was asked about him in Teshar, and I understand that our Discord is only a small portion of our audience base. I think we're nearing 500 Discordians. So obviously, if you're not on our Discord, I'll encourage you to join. We've been having conversations about all these cards as they've been announced. So if you want to hear what's what from us as these cards are released, that's a good spot to go. But Luminous Broodmoth, whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. This is the last mechanic I wanted to discuss. So I'm bringing this up, 1, because it highlights one of the new mechanics, and 2, it is a card that was suggested for Teshar. No, don't put it in Teshar. Cleared that. Why not? It's just okay. This is taking up the CMC slot of casting Teshar, and in no way, shape, or form is this going to be a better cast than Teshar. Your list should be devised around manipulating his ability to recur things from your graveyard, and ill-concerned about whether they have flying or not, although I do have a combo for you combo players. And 2, the flying counter. So there are 10 new effects, essentially, that were introduced in this. There are 10 abilities you can grant creatures you control, or permanents, I should say. You can grant permanents these abilities: the Menace, Flying, Trample, Lifelink, Death Touch. I'm not going to remember all of them. Vigilance. But essentially, there are cards in the set that are being released that are able to grant tokens to creatures in most instances, I believe, that we've seen, and or permanents, as it's been described by Watsier, Magic the Gathering's site. It's my understanding you can give permanents these tokens, and then they might be able to turn into creatures. I think there's artifacts that turn into creatures. There's certainly enchantments that turn into creatures. But you can give these tokens as well. Certain cards will allow you to do so. So what's special about this guy is whenever a creature dies, if it didn't have flying, it comes back with flying. So, for you those combo players out there, have you ever heard of Swooping Talon? That's right. I'm digging deep. Legion's deep. Swooping Talon is 4 generic, double white for a bird soldier, 2/6, flyer. Well, this ability already doesn't work with him. How are you going to use Luminous Brood? Well, shut your mouth for a second and I'll tell you. For 1 generic, Swooping Talon loses flying until the end of turn. It also has Provoke. That's why you would want to make it lose flying. This is not a good card. However, when you give a flying counter to a permanent, that permanent gains the ability. So I'm able to make him lose flying. You don't get double flying. You have flying on the creature. If he happens to have a flying counter on him, he doesn't get double flying. He just has flying. So if I were to have Ashnod's Altar out, Luminous Broodmoth, and Swooping Talon, I could, to start this combo off, have 1 generic, make him lose flying, sacrifice him to Ashnod's Altar, and give myself 2 generic mana. Luminous Broodmoth brings him back. I use 1 of the generic to make him lose flying again. Sacrifice him to Ashnod's Altar. You see what's happening here? More fingers are popping up on my hand. That means we're gaining mana. We're gaining generic mana. We have infinite generic mana. This was only a thought exercise for me. I like finding combos. There's a combo for you. If you can think of another Luminous Broodmoth combo, let me know. There are equipment pieces that take flying away from creatures. Colossus Hammer is the big one, literally. Mage Bane Armor makes your creature lose flying. Again, there are things you can use to combo with this, but I'm willing to bet they're all going to be as convoluted as what I just described to you. However, that's there. Put that in your back pocket. Impress your friends. Use it your next game night. Draneth the Magistrate. There's no the there, but he's the Magistrate in our book. Generic, 1 white, the only one. Creature, human, wizard, 1/3 booty. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. Okay. Flashback, can't flashback. Underworld Breach. Underworld Breach is dead. What Underworld Breach gives you is dead. Uro, right? Uro's a really cool card. You can't escape anymore with Uro as a commander. Oh wait, commanders. You can't cast commanders. Yeah. Yeah, is Draneth good? Draneth, if he doesn't get banned, I wouldn't hold it against him. This is all the dead otters, all the otters that have died in their wake. Draneth is practically an otter in their eyes, because I'm sure they've got their sights aimed at him and they're going to put him down. Because you know what? Someone's going to complain that this card's too oppressive. If Iona, what the hell's her name? You can't cast spells if Iona's banned, this guy should be banned in their mind. I think this card is magnificent stacks in white. Does white need a leg up on the competition? Yes. And how does it do that? With stacks elements like this. A 1/3 body, such a relevant blocker, such a relevant effect. You're putting a target on yourself. You're going to put your target on the Magistrate. They will have to remove it. Is that the end of the world? No. No. I just got you to remove a card that's been hurting everyone. And trust me, not everyone's going to jump board that plan. Not everyone's going to want to waste their removal to help everyone else out. I think what's going to come down to is a fist fight between all your opponents to remove this guy. Your opponent specifically. This is asymmetrical. It's fantastic. And if you run it in Teshar, you get to do it multiple times. And guess who's going to be running it in Teshar? I already put it in the list. So if you follow the primers, check out the current primer for Teshar. Draneth the Magistrate is in there. It was a must. Trust me, buy a copy or two. I think pre-orders are like around $1.50 to $2. I haven't pre-ordered it yet. I want a foil. I'm not seeing any pre-orders for foils yet. Give me 1 second to drink this water. Ooh, that card I want to talk about in black. Only because I love Seb McKinnon so much. If you didn't watch the review I released earlier today, I did a product review. Be sure to check that out. On the Quiver case, people were mentioning it. A lot of folks have asked me about this. Get to know my honest-to-God thoughts on that. And if you enjoy the product reviews here on the channel, let me know, because I'd love to do more of them. If you work with a brand that makes product for Magic, let me know. I'd love to work with them. But Mythos of Nethroi. I'm only bringing this up because it has an interesting effect that's introduced in the set. There are shards, and I believe they're called wedges, and Abzan is a member of the wedge family. So, Mythos of Nethroi. It's 2 generic, 1 black, instant speed. Destroy target non-land permanent if it's a creature, or if a forest and a plains was spent to cast this spell. So, that's Abzan. You have to be an Abzan to play this spell. It is a strictly worse, generous gift, Beast Within, and foremost, Assassin's Trophy. Do I care I'm giving you a land? No, I don't. Generous gift. Do I care that I'm giving you a 3/3 elephant, a 3/3 beast? No, none of the above. I really don't care. This is so color intensive, and it's in your rare slot. Ugh. I was going to say, if you are playing at a pre-release and you got this, I'm sorry for you, but I don't know when there will be pre-releases for Paper Magic. We'll see. Hopefully next month will be better times for all of us, and we'll get to play. But this card, as it currently stands, total trash. Don't look at it. Throw it out if you get it. Maybe it'll be good in a limited environment with all the creatures running around, but not in Commander. I mean, if you're really concerned about taking your opponent's commanders out, sure, maybe. But there's nothing in red. Nothing in red you need to look at. There are some cool combos in green, though. I devised a combo with a giant ape I want to talk about. But the first thing I want to talk about is a card that was announced, I believe, the other day, but folks have been talking about it today as well. It's an interesting planeswalker, Vivian Monster's Advocate. I love tutors. That's why we're talking about this. 3 generic, 2 green, legendary Planeswaker, Vivian. 3 loyalty as she jumps into the battlefield. She has a +1 and a -2. But she also has 2 static effects. Not 1, 2. I love the reworked mechanics of Planeswalkers. This was so necessary. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. Awesome. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Also awesome. I think there's got to be a way to leverage that to some effect. I haven't given this much thought. It's the -2 I'm really curious about, but that's okay too. Is this going to find a place in Zavala? First primer we introduce on this channel. I don't know yet. I think it could. It's certainly not taking the place of Garruk. Draw, tutor matters, and big creatures, big dumb creatures. Let's see if we get any more big dumb creatures in Ikoria. That's what I'm really hoping for. But this is a tutor, a very lazy tutor, but it's a tutor. +1, create a 3/3 beast creature token. Put your choice of vigilance counter, reach counter, or trample counter on it. Reach counter. That's like the saddest one. Maybe you need it. Who knows? Zur gets it on the attack, bro. Don't worry about it. -2. When you cast your next creature spell this turn, this is on the cast, so it kind of mucks up a lot of play lines, but it does allow you to get the effect no matter what. So I understand why they built it this way. If it was an enter the battlefield, that would have sucked, because if someone countered the creature, then you wouldn't get this effect. No matter what though, when you cast your next creature spell this turn, search your library for a creature card with lesser converted mana cost, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Not to your hand, onto the battlefield, and I think we've discussed it on the show before. There's nothing better than tutoring something from your deck onto the battlefield in a 99 card singleton list. Now, how do you leverage this? For a 1 cost, you need to drop a 2-drop. For a 2 cost, you need to drop a 3-drop. So on and so forth. You get the story. Now, what's cool about this in Zavala is if I cast Great Oak Guardian, I can get any card in my deck at that point. Probably get Tamir Sabertooth, right? That's a combo piece. If I were to cast Scrib Ranger, I can get Phyrexian Dreadnought, right? I'm assuming you know what these cards are. I'm likely going to put them on the screen for you anyways, but if I do Scrib Ranger into Phyrexian Dreadnought, the issue there is, yes, I will get Phyrexian Dreadnought in, but he comes in before Scrib Ranger does, so I'm not able to bounce a forest and untap Zavala. What I will get is likely a draw from him entering the battlefield and 12 mana. That's good enough. I'm greedy. I would love it if I can get 24 mana out of that scenario, not counting the Zavala activation. But Vivian, Monsters Advocate for 5, I think that there is certainly a use for it. And I say lazy tutoring because the tutoring itself is hampered by that CMC. So if you have a low CMC or a low curve in your list and you're not able to cut it for half of those tutors, it kind of sucks. But what's really lovely about it is it does allow you to cheat costs. This is always good. Things like Cascade, always good. You're just getting free value. We like free value. Now the next card I want to talk about, I have to pull up another card for this one actually, is Kogla. Kogla? Kogla. The Titan Ape. I wish that name was better. Kogla. Comment in the comment section if you like the name Kogla. Give me a better name. It can't be Kong. 3 generic, 3 forest, legendary creature ape, sick ass art, 7/6 body. There's so much I love about this card, specifically because it pairs super well with Zavala and a recent card from Theros Beyond Death. Am I using it? Probably not. Although I do have the other card in my Zavala list. When Kogla, the Titan Ape, enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So that's your Somberwald Stag, right? So replace the Somberwald Stag in Zavala. It's so much more expensive though. Yeah, that's okay. Whenever Kogla attacks, destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. Damn! What? My boy doesn't have haste though. You're gonna have to wait on that one. The next ability is the most important one. Anytime you see an effect like this, repeatable, return to hand, there is a combo there. 1 generic, 1 green. Return target human you control to its owner's hand. Kogla gains indestructible until the end of turn. It is Tamir Sabertooth. It's Tamir Sabertooth, Somberwald Stag, and something else that destroys things on attacking. I don't know what that card is. It's not Acidic Slime. That just ETBs and does it. I don't know what that is. Those are all good effects. They just this is like the questing beast for the set so far. It's a very good card. It's super aggressive. It does a lot of things. That last ability, though, pairs really well with Hyrex Tower Scout. I'm only bringing this one up because the combo is actually relevant. Some people might want to play for it. There aren't that many non-humans that many humans in a Savala list. At least not mine. But this is one of them. Hyrex Tower Scout. Creature Human Scout for 2 generic, 1 green, 3/3 body. When Hyrex Tower Scout enters the battlefield, untap target creature. People were going crazy about this guy as another combo piece for Kiki Jiki. Maybe we mentioned that here as well. But if you have Hyrex Tower Scout, Kogla, and Savala, that's infinite mana. You see it? So Hyrex Tower Scout is 3 mana. The ability is 2 mana. And Savala to tap is 1 mana. Well, we need a creature that has 7 power. Oh, he's a 7/6. Okay, so automatically, right there, we have infinite generic. We have infinite, I'm thinking about Luminous Broodmoth. We have infinite green mana. Is that good? It's really good. It's a good start. You're going to need other effects in your hand, an outlet of some sort to get the most out of this. He's not an outlet himself, but if you play for the Beast Within loop, say that you get this infinite mana. You Tooth and Nail for 9, and you get Kogla and Hyrex Tower Scout. You have all the pieces you need right there to combo out. That's pretty good, man. I'm not sure I'm going to use any excuse I can use to use a giant ape in my list, a Kong type ape in my list. Of course I'm going to take that opportunity, but I'm not certain I'm going to be playing it, sadly. I'm not sure it's there yet. But again, if you're doing the Beast Within loop, this replaces your Somberwald Stag. And of course, if you play this out earlier for value, if you're just playing it for value, because its inherent ability to return a human to your hand isn't that aggressive for opponents. Not that many people are going to care about that effect unless there's a relevant human, up until Hyrex hits the field and then it becomes relevant. But Kogla, pretty fantastic. Pretty fantastic. I like him. All right, lastly, to end this off, I do want to talk about some multicolored cards that have tickled my fancy, and one of them, because you guys know I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan, I have to talk about Cheville. Cheville sounds better, doesn't it? Cheville, Bane of Monsters, Golgari. Legendary creature, human rogue, Cloak and Dagger. Get that freaking Cloak and Dagger in your list now. 1/3 body. Death Touch. That's good. He doesn't need a token for Death Touch. He just comes with it, bitches. At the beginning of your upkeep, if your opponents control no permanents with bounty counters on them, put a bounty counter on target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. If they don't have one, make sure you're running Forbidden Orchard. Why? Whenever a permanent opponent controls with a bounty counter on it dies, you gain 3 life and draw a card. I'm fairly certain that ability is attached to Cheville and not the counters, although there have been weird rulings in the past where even if the creature was gone, you'd still get the effect. Because the bounty counter doesn't leave the creature. There would be text to state that. The bounty counter stays, right? So the unfortunate bit here is that at the beginning of your upkeep, this doesn't always go off. You can only ever have 1 bounty counter on the field. That kind of kills this. But what is encouraging from a deck building perspective is for the player to kill a lot of things. Hell, this list might even run murder. You're just going to put all of it in there. You're gonna want to kill things. Whoa, what a lovely game for kids. That's that's the build here. It looks super fun. I think I would want to build this for funsies. Again, only because I do love Monster Hunter, and Greatsword wasn't really my thing. My brother loves Greatsword. I'll build this for him. I'm going to make him a deck. Now, the next card I want to talk about is Fiend Artisan. Another Golgari card. Good for you. Look at you, Golgari. The face on this thing is nasty if you're looking at the image. Creature Nightmare for Golgari, so 2 mana. Fiend Artisan gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Hermit Druid, do it. Don't do that. Don't do Hermit Druid. The other ability is the relevant one. It's a 1/1 body otherwise. X, that would be crazy if they made it 0/0, if they forced you to have a dead creature. Anyway, X, Golgari, tap, sacrifice another creature, do a backflip, : search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost of X or less. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Activate this only anytime you could cast a sorcery. So it is limited, but you are tutoring if someone used a Forbidden Orchard on you and gave you the token. Foolish. They didn't see your Fiend Artisan's second ability. You're able to search up and put things onto the battlefield. Yes, it is sorcery speed, a little bit like Birthing Pod, so it is limited in its effect. However, you are tutoring on another creature, and unlike Fauna Shaman, you put it on the battlefield. Fauna Shaman, you can do it instant speed, though. There is that benefit. However, Fiend Artisan is certainly something to look out for. Probably pod worthy, certainly good. Maybe in some other constructed format, but I can see it in certain commander list. We do love our tutors. You do need to get those things out of your deck. This is a great way to do it. Be on the lookout for Fiend Artisan. Really do love this card. All right, to round off our spoiler overview, I do want to talk about Riel the Versed. Now, this is a card you're not going to find on Mythic Spoiler as of the time of recording this. I did have to look it up. It should be on the screen now in a different language. If you don't speak Spanish, La Versidad? You guys can joke. Maybe I have a lot of Spanish-speaking friends on the Discord, but I'm having to translate this via magicspoiler.com. Riel gets +1/+0 for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. Well, I'm not just trying to throw these things in my graveyard, am I? And the other effect that's really interesting is whenever you discard 1 or more cards for the first time in a turn, so any turn, draw that many cards. So that doesn't function necessarily as a win in and of itself, unless you're doing some crazy Glinthorn Buccaneer thing with this. You're just mass drawing and discarding and throwing damage at people, which is kind of the idea I would try to go with this. I try to find outlets that leverage discarding, but what's really great about this is every time you discard a card, so let me just think of all the cards that discard cards, every wheel, every rummage effect, any as additional cost discard X cards effect. There's tons of ways that you duplicate the number of draw you get. So let's just say you did Wheel of Fortune and you had 3 cards in hand at that point. When you Wheel of Fortune that turn, you are going to get 10 cards back, 10 cards on the return. That's pretty damn good for 3 mana, even if you are allowing a wheel for other players. But you're in blue as well, so I guess you could be using that Narset, right? That'd be pretty dope. So I think that Riel, although it doesn't have a clear-cut strategy, yeah, Narset Parter of Veils. It's each opponent. So yeah, you totally could just run her in that list. I think Riel is going to be very good as a toolbox commander. You're going to want to use this with all of those like cathartic reunions of the world. All of the cards that make you discard things to do things, you're going to benefit by drawing every time you do that, every instance. I did not research this girl heavily. She was the last thing to be announced of recording this, but we did discuss it a little bit on Discord. It's certainly a value mander, one to look out for if you're interested in constructing a new one from the set. This is certainly the most interesting in my book. I think it has the most potential for play. It's also kind of calling to be used in Grixis, so maybe if you're playing Kess, this is something you might want to throw in that list, because you are going to, well, it's going to be a 1 big beater at a certain point, and 2, the effect is really amazing. Just the ability to draw cards off of the amount of discards is a really good effect too, especially if your opponents use wheels. Everyone uses wheels. Everyone has the Windfall of the World, the Time Twister of the World, all of those effects. I don't think Time Twister helps you, but yeah, Riel is one to look out for. I certainly think it's going to be one of the more interesting commanders from the set. Now you go straight to shuffling. Same thing as like Winds of Change. I think you put your cards from your hand into your deck and like shuffle it. You do need to look for the keyword discard though. The last thing I do want to mention before I close this one out are the crystals that were introduced. I think this is interesting if you play in a shard and or a wedge. I think these are Mardu. I think those are wedges. But if you play in any one of those triple colored lists and you do find yourself needing more ramp, this is a really interesting way to get it. So there have been a series of different cards in this list that rely on cycling. There's another thing Riel can play with, although, you know, the one discard isn't a huge deal for you, but, you know, cycling on someone else's turn and drawing 2 cards is kind of a big deal, as a matter of fact. But crystals, they come into play untapped, and you can tap for, this one's Mardu, so you can add red, white, or black, or you can cycle it for 2. So what's that, fluctuating something? There's a card that reduces the cycling cost of other cards by 2. That's probably going to spike with this set, likely. There's a lot of cycling effects here. But all these crystals, you get to either cycle them or use them as ramp. If you do find yourself needing ramp, and I really don't encourage, I discourage as a matter of fact, 2 CMC rocks and 3 CMC rocks unless you really need them. Your deck relies on some sort of historic strategy, artifact strategy, or they can be manipulated in some sense to win the game. General ramp is just okay. You know, I mean, are people really on ISO Concept anymore? I haven't seen anyone even try to go for a ISO Rev line in a while. But if you are running that strategy, this is just another rock to add to that pile. It also gives you those colors you so desperately need if you're in that triple color. Obviously, you need to be in triple color to use these, but certainly something to look out for. It's cool to see that they're making these at Uncommon for this set. And I believe there's also going to be a reprint of Arcane Signet in the set. So if you're holding off on getting one because the prices were just a little too steep for that effect, if you're a budget builder or you were looking for one, now would be a good time to get one. Don't quote me. I think I've seen Arcane Signet art out there, and I might even check. But yeah, guys, that will do it for this overview. Commander 2020. Yeah, there will be a, not Ikoria, Commander 2020. There will be a reprint of Arcane Signet. So yeah, look out for that. There's a 2 CMC rock. That's a must play. Do we ban it? Do we grab our guns and shoot it? I don't think so. Calm down. What's wrong with you? It's just an otter. Chill. So guys, what are your favorite cards from this set so far? I'm going to revisit you all after I see a few more cards. I hope you like those combos I threw your way. One of them is viable. The Luminous Moth. I'm not sure we're really doing that, but what are your favorite cards so far from this set? I'm willing to bet it's a 2 CMC white card. But what do you think about the recent banning? Was it fair? Unfair? Did they ban the wrong thing? Let me know in the comment section down below. Mutate, is it tickling your fancies? Do you like throwing counters on things to give them abilities? Talk to me about that. Talk to me about all the things down below. Again, if you are in the market to pre-ordering or purchasing up some cards, I would suggest you head on over to TCG Player. That's where I get all of my cards by the bulk because it is the best way to get them. It's always the most affordable. Hang on for some sort of kickback or incentive deal because then you're going to get that much more value from your purchase. And also, if you use the link down in the description, you are hooking us up here on the channel, and I appreciate you. Again, Patreon viewers, I appreciate you as well. And if you're listening to this, I appreciate all you guys too. I've mentioned it a couple times already, but again, we are over on Anchor and Spotify. So if you're listening to this, thank you for joining in. Now for that end roll that I promise every single video, they really need to better the Patreon layout. It is so hard to see all of my, there we go, geez. Relationship manager. If you were ever looking to manage your own Patreon, Lord, maybe I'm just like technologically illiterate. I don't know. But as promised, the shout out. Until we hit 99, I'm going to say everyone's name, and I'm just going to use your first name and or the pseudo name you guys placed in here. Let me see if I can get your full name. They're not even giving me the full name on this thing. At any rate, Brendan, new backer, thank you so much. You might be the best of all these guys. I don't know you personally, but willing to bet. I'm willing to bet. Javier, thank you so much for your patronage. You're awesome. Love Scar. Scar. Mufasa. Scar. Always. Mace, thank you so much. Also an excellent thumbnail. Jordan, is that you? Wonderful thumbnail. You look sharp. You look good. Leon, I don't know you, but I love you. I think that's what I said last time. Luke, not going to say your last name this time. Oh, man, I was wrong. Your last name was not. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Mahoy Manoy, I'm pretty sure that's a fake name. Thank you for backing us. Nathan, some of the best Patreons for the 99. I just want to say, I have one tier set at $1. A lot of you guys are going above and beyond, and I really appreciate you for that. Nick, just to see, the best, potentially. I don't know you. We're going to have a duel to see who is actually the best. Oliver, amazing. J2, me too. Sam, such a stupid dad joke. Sam, I'm not even a dad. You, also potentially the best. I don't know you personally, but I'm willing to bet with that thumbnail. Something to look out for. I'm going to mispronounce your name, but I also appreciate you. Jord? S-J-O-E-R-D. Tell me how bad I'm butchering that. I'm so sorry. You're the best. You're the best for having to put up with me. I appreciate you. And Holy, using the middle name of that long name, Holy. It's not that long, but it's long for a single word. Holy. Also potentially the best. It's really between 4 or 5 of you at this point. Although, Stjord, easily the best, because he has to put up with my funny ass. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on another episode here. We're going to go ahead and do another recap of some other spoilers. WotC doesn't like me enough to send me spoiler cards, so maybe that day will come. But we will recap all of the cards that have released. Obviously, any more controversies that come up, we are going to shove them to the ground and tell them they're wrong. No, we're just going to talk about them here. So I like doing that with you guys. You're a larger audience here, but if you would like to come and join the conversation over on Discord, you're always welcome. Thanks again for joining me on this one, guys. I'm Patrick Marlette, and happy brewing.